Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I am Jacqueline Lyday, realtor in the Central Valley, here with Eric Becerra, the lone wolf, who gives us all of our juicy loan information. I'm a little sad, though, because I just found out that the Dream for All Act last Friday was, what do you say? It was terminated. All the funds have been allocated. I mean, what are we going to do now, Eric? And are there any other down payment assistance programs that can help people out there?
So yeah, the Dream for All program, I like to say it was all a dream, like Biggie said, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's over. Yeah, all the funds have been allocated. $300 million of funds were allocated as of Friday afternoon. It was kind of one of those things, kind of a race to the finish line. There was a message that was sent out on Thursday stating there were still some funds left that you can get in by the following Monday or Tuesday. And I think what happened was it really lit a fire under a lot of lenders, and there were thousands of locks that came in on a Friday morning and just ultimately took up all the funds. So good and bad news, right? I mean, tons of people were able to get helped out, were able to take advantage of the program. Of course, there was a lot of people that were left in the balance, right? That were in the middle of getting locks confirmed or getting into escrow on a property. Still till today, I'm getting people asking about it, right? And so many people just aren't able to take advantage of it. But the good news is that there are other programs, and that's really what I wanted to share today with you and everybody that's watching. That
Nice.
all hope should not be lost, because there's already tons of programs that were established prior to this that have been able to help thousands of people and will continue to help so many folks to get into a home with very little or no money, or I should say very little money out of pocket. Right. And so I wanted to highlight some of those programs today, if that's okay. And that way we can share with everyone that, look, talk to your lender, find out what else you may be able to qualify for and be eligible for, and don't lose hope. You can still get into a home with very little money down. You can get in with as little as 5% down. You get in 5%, 3%, 1%, and even 0% down, right? So let me kind of go down the line. Conventional actually already has a low down payment option. You don't have to come in with a full 20% down. You can come in with as little as 5% down. And that's not just for a home buyer. If you're a repeat buyer or a move up buyer, if you own a home, if you own a home now, you want to move up or move down to a different home, you could get in with as little as 5% down. So that's one thing that's really important, that you don't, there's a huge myth still out there, right? And we're on this mission to let everybody know you don't need 20% down. You can come in with as little as 5%. And to those folks that say, well, I don't want to pay PMI, talk to your lender about that. PMI was created as a tool so you could come in without the 20% down. And the PMI factors can be very, very low in many cases. And you don't have to pay PMI forever, maybe for a few years until you have 20% equity in that property. And then that PMI can be eliminated.
For anyone that's in the loan world, what's PMI again?
That's private mortgage insurance. Okay. And so again, that's if you don't put 20% down. So that's a 5% conventional option. Conventional also has a 3% down option if you are a first-time home buyer, right? You also can do a 3.5% down payment option with an FHA loan. Okay. USDA has a 0% down option. So if you're going to buy a property that's in the rural communities, you can potentially come in with 0% down. VA, if you're a veteran, if you serve our country, one of the best loans out there is a 0 down VA loan.
Question: anyone do a VA loan, or do you have to go straight to, what is it called, Calvet, or a specific lender for a VA?
So we're approved to do VA loans. So we have what's called the VA guaranteed loan. So we directly with VA, we do all the paperwork for you. We process it, and we get your eligibility with your DD-214 and process all that. And so that way you can come to us direct, because we also have access to not just VA loans. There may be something else that you may be eligible for that may make more sense for you, that we can also look at and compare.
And one thing I want to add for a lot of people to consider. Yes, a lot of people do go through the state of California for their VA loans, but they don't answer their phone on the weekend. I've done loans. I mean, I haven't done the loans like that before, but my buyers have done loans like that before. And I mean, of course, they work state hours. So some of the lenders don't answer on the weekends. Some of them don't answer after 5 o'clock. Some of them go on vacation and they don't even give you notice. And you're working with an entirely new lender, which I think is pretty annoying, because if I'm answering my phone at all hours of the day, sometimes night, for my clients, I want a lender that's going to do the same for me. And I know you've done that before for me, Eric, working a VA loan. So just to the people out there considering who's going to finance my property, well, you're going to want to ask these questions. Is there availability? When will you answer my phone calls? Will I have your cell phone because they have your cell phone, just to have the best buying experience possible?
That's a great point, because especially when you're going through the home buying process, you need your team to be available for you at all times. Many times I find myself, answering the phone at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, on the weekends, during my kids' football games, whatever the case is. I like to say that I'm a mortgage banker without the banker's hours, right? But it's important, right, that your realtor and your lender are available to you, right? And so, there's no 9 to 5 here. So we're, buying a home, it's a process. It's where you need us at all hours of the time I wouldn't say of the night, right? But we're here available to you. Yeah. So kind of going back, what I was going to talk about next was, in addition to all these regular programs that are available with low down payment options, you also have down payment assistance options. And there's tons that are out there. There's one's called a Chenoa program that's with an FHA loan that helps with 3.5%. So helps you with your down payment and some of your closing costs. We have CalHFA that also has the My Home program, the ZIP. There's other programs with CalHFA where the funds are not tied in to the Dream for All program. Right, those were allocated specifically for the Dream for All. There's tons of funds that are available for the other programs that CalHFA has available. And then there's the GSFA program. GSFA is the Golden State Financial Authority. There's the Platinum program, the Open Door program, the Select for those employees that work in, we like to call it as our heroes, that are in law enforcement. They're in the medical field. They're teachers. That also, there's some grants that are available. So. There's also this exciting program that's coming up that's going to be available June 1st, where the lender is going to participate in 2% of the assistance. You only come in with 1% on a conventional loan. Right now, this program is going to be quite a bit more restrictive. This program requires you to earn under 50% of the area median income. Okay, now what is that? How much is that? If you're in Fresno County, if you're in the Central Valley, typically that means you can't earn more than about $36,000 a year. Okay, and so what that equates to, that if we work that backwards, that means that your mortgage payment, and along with any and all debts, cannot exceed about $1,500. With today's rates, that's going to probably afford you about a $200,000 house. Right. So I know those are a little bit harder to come by, but I know when you have a great agent like Jackie, there's a good opportunity, good chance that she can find you one. So
thank you. Eric, one question I did have, where's the free money? Because a lot of these programs you have to pay back. The 20% down, you had to pay back. I want free money. So where do we find the free money?
Well, there's no such thing as a free meal, right? And so, and that's the thing. That's why it's important. I'm glad you asked, because nothing is for free. Really, all of these assistance programs, they have a cost related to them, right? It may be a higher interest rate. There's higher fees that are involved, right? There's different things that are involved in each and one of these programs. So that's why I like to ask the question always, when folks say, hey, I'm a first-time home buyer, I want the assistance that's out there. I said, okay, cool, but let's talk about, do you have any funds, and what are you going to allocate those funds towards the down payment or closing costs? Are you going to have any money left over? I like to say is, if you have the funds, then maybe you don't have to necessarily use the down payment assistance, although you can. Although you can, it's really up to you. Some folks may say, look, I want to save some money for a rainy day. I got furniture, I got some improvements I want to do to the home. Those are all valid reasons. Some folks just want to take advantage of the system. And I mean, that's completely up to you if you want to do that. But at the end of the day, again, there's no free meal, so you're going to pay for it at some point. So.
What about the GSFA Platinum? Wasn't that like you got some money for free or some money that you didn't have to pay back?
Yes.
Yes.
So yes, that's a great program.
Okay.
So part of that assistance is a loan, and part of it is a grant. Okay. Now the cool thing about that is that anybody can get the Platinum program. If you are in a select occupations, the heroes that we talked about, right? Then that grant that is ultimately can be forgiven for everybody else will be forgiven up front. All right, for those that are in those select occupations. So if you're a correction officer, police officer, firefighter, in the medical field, nurse, school, not just in those particular occupations, but if you work for the agencies that employ those occupations, you could be a maintenance person, you could be an administrative assistant, whatever the case is, as long as you are working for those agencies, you are eligible for the GSFA Platinum Select program. Okay.
Do you have to be a first-time home buyer for that?
You do not, which is cool.
Remember one time when I used to work for you, we did a city loan for my client Sandra, and she got $60,000. And I forget if that was forgivable or not. I believe she lived in the property for 5 years and it was within a certain area of the community that it was forgivable. So maybe, I mean, I could be wrong. If my memory serves me right, it was 6 years ago and it was a City of Fresno program, wonderful program. It brought her purchasing price up even higher than she imagined, and she got into a beautiful home. But maybe people out there can look into programs for their city.
Absolutely. So the city programs are usually the best because they're from the municipality. A lot of times they raise funds for that purpose, where in most cases they are forgiven. They don't have to be paid back. The problem with those is the funds run out right away. City of Clovis, City of Fresno, City of Dinuba, different cities around the state will have these programs, but it really depends on their funding, right? And so it's been a while since I've seen anybody have funding, but again, usually they pop up kind of randomly. So yeah, it's definitely worth looking into, because yeah, in most of those cases, the funds are forgiven, and so you don't have to pay them back. So those are huge. Yeah, I know at one point, I think the City of Clovis was providing up to 50% the purchase price of your home. I mean, it's huge, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that was the first loan I did with you coming to Altera at the time. And you're like, great, Jackie, you decided to work on the hardest loan that's out there. But it was good. It was good. It was forgiven. It's been over 5 years. So
yeah, it helped the borrower immensely. So
kind of like the catch-all for the 1% down assistance program, you're telling me is that the person or couple cannot exceed $36,000 a year. And they have to not incur such a large amount of debt that their purchasing price goes down, correct?
yeah, so the AMI, the average median income in Fresno County is $36,400 and change, right? So yeah, so what that means is that equates to about $3,000 in monthly income. And so I'm doing the math backwards. At a 50% debt to income ratio, that would mean that's a $1,500 a month mortgage payment max. And that's assuming they have no other debts or obligations. But if they do, then we'd have to push that down a little bit.
Okay. And then for the Good Neighbor program that you were talking about, that is only eligible in specific areas of the city, correct?
We're talking about the heroes.
The hero, yeah.
That's the GSFA Platinum Select. No, that's actually statewide. There's
statewide. Okay.
Statewide. So it doesn't have a specific census tract or part of the neighborhood that you have to be in.
Right. So as I recall, for that, you do have to put the APN number to a map to see if you're eligible for that property to receive the grant or assistance for that loan. That's
for a different type. That's not for this specific loan. So you do have to do a lookup for example, on the USDA loan to find out, to make sure that the property you're purchasing does fall within, let's say, USDA, the map. And it's
Okay.
interesting, in Fresno, there's actually a few streets, and actually quite a, in most maps, there's streets where one side of the street is eligible for USDA, on across the street, it's not, right? Because it's
Oh,
right on,
wow.
yeah, it's right on the border of those city limits and those boundaries.
Wow. So it would be good for everyone to get together with their lender and go through the breakdown of the different programs and see what program is best eligible for them.
That's the big catch-all, right? I think that's the biggest takeaway you can have is there's so much out there. Yeah, get with your lender to find out, number one, what you're eligible for, what makes sense, what you can qualify for, back in to make sure it's within your budget. And yeah, there's a lot of these different tools, a lot of things, a lot of nuances that we have to check to make sure that you're eligible, and to make sure that, again, that you're not going to have any surprises down the road while you're in escrow.
All righty. Well, next week, hopefully we can talk a little bit more about a different program, and maybe there'll be something new coming out too.
Yeah, I can't wait.
All righty. Thanks, Eric. Have a
Thanks, Eric.
wonderful day, and we'll see everybody next week.